Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
I'm the man in the box, buried in my shit. Won't you come and save me? Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Eric Hellberg, and you know we're like Einstein over here, men. We have no special talents. We're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to men. How in the hell did we get here? Where is it that we want to go? Whoo! I'm pooped. We're living a month and a day. Who can relate? But you know what? Let's begin. 1 Corinthians 1:27. I said we can't rely on church. We can't rely on the government. We cannot rely on ourselves, but only on the infallible word of God. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to choose the NIV version just for simplicity here. It said, because God chose the foolish things of this world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. He has inverted everything in God's economy. Everything that this world espouses is false. We're to be totally different. So let's begin. I have so many things that I want to bring my burgeoning flock. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I am committed to doing. And we will do 10 or 15 names every episode until that whole son of a list is disseminated to you in kind. We heard about Epstein's list. We never got the list. We only heard them mention names. They had to mention Slick Willie because he was so pervasive. No, President Trump is not on the list. He did not go on the Lolita Express. He did not go on his own private jet. He was never on the island. They wanted to create a false illusion by showing a social scene in public Manhattan with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, Melania, and Donald, and get you to draw an inference. That's what they do. To take the suspicion and to take the red-hot clarity away from the evildoers that they did know was there. One of which, and I'm going to go out of sequence because the list was actually disseminated in alphabetical order according to first name. But I remember one time on The View, I cannot remember who the guest was, but he brought up Epstein Island. Hillary was on there, and her face fell. You know whose face also fell? Joy Behar. That bitch. She's been there. Whoopi Goldberg, and I'm going out of sequence. She's been there. Now, I'm not saying that every person who went there partook in things with underage people because Anderson Cooper was there. And we know he's a fine young homosexual who's wed to another man. Well, were they there for the boys? I don't know, and I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is maybe they just wanted to hobnob with the rich and powerful. It's just as ominous. Walk away from all these people that want to take you somewhere wrong. Let's begin. You remember back in COVID? Yeah, I just spit. Someone's been urging me to quit. I haven't kicked the habit yet. Black Buffalo just went into the cup. All right, it helped me sing that song. Beginning of COVID, we're like, what are we going to do? Everyone's locked down. They can't derive an income. Businesses are shutting down unless they had lobbyists. If they were industries with a lobbying group, big companies, boy, they could run with reckless abandon. You want to talk about killing the mom and pop shop. If any of them were left, that put the nail in their coffin. But did you know at that time they came out with a big stimulus bill? And we know about pork barrel spending. You have to read the minutia because you never know what all is included in there. But what struck me in getting ready for this episode was to kick out those first, oh, thank you, Papa Joe. For those first $600 stimulus checks for Americans, Congress deliberated 5 months whether or not they could get that out. But did you know in the very same bill, they dispensed, and I can't even remember what country it was, another approximate $14 billion in aid to that country? But it only took them 8 hours to decide that. And it took them even less to give themselves a 21% pay increase at that time. 5 months to see if the American people who pay taxes can get $600. 8 hours to dispense another $14 billion off of our shores that we paid for, earned and paid for. And 2 hours to come up with a 21% pay increase for themselves. And that is the reason why I'm taking the tack that I am. And the more I think about that COVID, and you know we're on the back of a couple of COVID episodes last week, it made me sick. And we know now that the Naval Special Warfare Command has gone woke. So next thing you know, along with their tricked out M4s, I don't know, maybe new Navy SEALs coming out of buds got to go full clinger mode. We just don't know. Maybe the chest hair is still allowed. We don't know about the boots. But how many of our finest service members who actually bucked the system, stood up, took a stand, and were summarily fired by this heinous government of ours because they refused the vaccine? But yet, how many millions, when we could use every one of those soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, in a time where we don't have enough and the world is ablaze, we'll fire them for standing up. Well, damn it, all you got to do to get in here is be undocumented, unvaccinated, and we'll let millions in here. Where's the parity? So just like last episode, I believe I titled it Unclean to Clean. Let's go ahead. We've started off with the unclean, haven't we? We've shown how the ways of the world are going to be shown to be dumb by the good Lord above. I'll tell you another thing before I get into the clean. I'm thinking of it as we're talking. Why on God's green earth can little boys and girls not stand up in their classroom, whether they know the proper standing at attention or not? Principals, you can show them. If you don't know it, look it up. And why can't they put their hands over their heart? And why can they no longer say the Pledge of Allegiance? But an effing Muslim who isn't from here but now is here in the country that has that pledge can drop a rug anywhere he wants, figure out if he's facing east or not. That may or may not be if he's drunk. Drop down to his knees and be allowed to say his prayers anytime, any place, anywhere. There's your unclean to begin. Let's get clean. You know we have a new sponsor. Old Country Soap. Old school, old-timey. Oldcountrysoap.com. All one word. The old is spelled O-L-D-E. Since we're talking about the ways of the world being shown to be dumb, when you realize how much we have been duped, tricked, deceived, outright lied to, it makes you feel foolish. But we're helpless. What do? We listen to shows like this. We talk amongst ourselves. We strategize, and we keep telling people. people keep standing up, just like those service members who took a stand. You will be persecuted. There will be a price. You may be summarily let go. Do you want to continue in this fashion? We have to do something, right? Well, since we've been tricked and made to feel dumb, let's feel smart. Let's get the best soap on the market for the least possible cost. oldcountrysoap.com. You can use my promo code, Chaos20. Approximately $3 a bar, you will get a coconut oil-based soap laced, infused with essential oils and bentonite clay, hand cut, cured for 1 month. A little goes a long way. You can dispense with all the extra showering additives. It's good for your skin. Try it and you will enjoy it. Their owner, Elon, is waiting for you to get in touch with them. All right, let's move on. We always like to tie a bow. One of a man's pet peeves is to have loose ends. I can't stand loose ends. I cannot stand to leave a job undone. It drives me insane. And I'm sure many of you are like that. So we know that we have moved, going on 2 weeks past the big Trump trial. And if you listen to my comments last week, we spoke about the potential juror pool. It's already been tainted in favor of Hunter Biden. And we know that opening arguments in that federal gun charge trial, which will happen in Delaware, take place tomorrow morning. It'll be interesting to see what we are actually allowed to see and hear what we are actually allowed to hear. But since Trump was found guilty, and we talked about Alvin Bragg and Michael Colangelo leaving the Department of Justice to take a position, a demotion, to the DA's office to help bring Trump to fruition. Now that he has been found guilty, you know what I think? I think we should go ahead and sentence him. We know this is going to go through the appellate courts all the way up to the Supreme Court, probably before it ever even happens. I hope so. But let's go ahead and sentence President Trump now. Here's what I want to do. Do you think a 4-year sentence would be good enough for President Trump for everything that he has done right? Or whatever these idiots think he has done wrong? Let's sentence President Trump to 4 years. I tell you what, 4 years of small room confinement. You know where I want him confined for the next 4 years? How about the effing Oval Office? That's where we want to sentence this man. That's good enough for me, and I bet it's good enough for you. But on to Hunter. I told you last week that guy snuck away from one of the anniversaries of Sandy Hook in 2017 with Papa Joe to meet with a Chinese energy company executive in accordance to try and procure an additional $10 million payment. Remember, 10% for the big guy on top of what all they had already received. Oh, yeah. I tell you what, one of these episodes I am going to do something. I'll do the digging and find out both Joe and Kamala's net worth when they entered their current office and what it is to this day. And maybe you will think it is possible at that time that Ukraine was all about covering up stuff that you cannot even believe and lining many people's pockets like Joe Biden and Kamala. But anyways, we know they snuck away, and I told you it was Woo Dong, Ding Dong, King Kong. We don't know long. It was Yu Jing Dong. But did you know what has come out, because they are now authenticating the laptop, that early in COVID, since we tie things together, and we know that Joe just sold, I can't remember, don't have it in front of me, part of our Northeast gasoline reserves. I did an episode on that probably 3 weeks ago. But early in COVID, he sold 1 million barrels of oil from our strategic oil reserve. My God, wouldn't it be nice to have them? especially with the world on fire. Did you know that also went to out of our strategic oil reserves? Joe Biden at the beginning of COVID sold that to another Chinese oil company, by which that Hunter Biden also had board affiliations. We forgot about those Chinese interests because we were focused on Ukraine, but then we had to make those go away. How much traitorous activity do we have to take from these people? How long is this going to go on? So here's what I have to say about that. Won't you come and save me? They're not coming to save us. They want to bury us. And like the song implies, and that I began the episode with, Man in the Box by Alice in Chains, that's where they want us, in the dark, confined, and silent. But here's what we are going to do. We are going to unite. We are going to fight against this tyranny. Remember, Tyrannical Tuesday? And just like it says in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11, we are going to take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And that's why they are afraid of Trump. We are going to expose them, and we're going to continue to talk about this. So without further ado, we need, let me pull up my list. Let me pull up my Epstein's list as promised. We'll do 10 to 15 names each time, right? We already went through Whoopi. We already went through Joy. We already went through Anderson Cooper. So let's hit some alphabetically. From the A's, Adam Perry Lang, I have no idea. Akon, okay, rapper, hip-hop artist, makes sense. Did you know Mr. Climate Change, Al Gore, is on there? Yeah, trust the science. Alan Dershowitz, big old Harvard attorney. Oh yeah, you're a sellout. We know that you're a pimp pedophile. Albert Pinto, good old Alec Baldwin. Allison Mack, Alyssa Rogers. We already said Anderson Cooper. Oh, Angelina Jolie. Oh my God, Anthony Kiedis. I think that's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love them. Of course, Anthony Weiner was on there because when he was married up with Huma Abedin, who was servicing Hillary Clinton, of course, he was sending pictures of his wiener around the internet, even though his last name was Weiner. And they scapegoated Anthony, got rid of his wiener. But Anthony was showing his wiener at Epstein's Island. That's fine. But that takes us down, and that was not the A's in its entirety, but that begins the B's. And we know the B's are important. Do you know who the first B was on Epstein's Island? Well, you've heard me talk about him plenty. His lineage plenty. That's Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Hussein Obama. We will pick up this list in our next episode. And I'm going to tell you what I am going to tackle, and I'm going to catch hell for doing it. Since our churches won't do it, since they have become woke, well, guess what? We're woke too, in the state of awakened. We still have a mouth. We still can make discernible noises. And so I am going to break down this whole, I don't know when, it's going to be hard, but I am going to break down this whole homosexual and being born this way, not being born this way, how we ended up this way, and what the church refuses to say. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock. OldCountrySoap.com. OLDE Chaos 20 is your code.
Until next time, like and subscribe to the Comfortable in Chaos podcast.